start, can somebody get my prop back there, the table with the 6 chairs? I don't care who, just whoever wants to. Thanks, guys. Good team. I couldn't bring it up here earlier because they were doing dramas. So, yep.
Is this okay, preacher?
Testing, 1, 2, testing. Guess it needs to get higher up. Testing, 1, 2, testing. Do I have to hold down? Okay. Okay, so I'm going to be talking about purpose. Job 42:2 says, I know that you can do all things, no purpose of yours can be thwarted. Once God has established his purpose in our lives, no one can change it. What door God has shut, no man can open, and what door God has opened, no man can shut. People will wear themselves out in efforts to make the situation turn badly for believers, yet God will still ultimately accomplish his plans. Christians can take courage that he is working everything for our good, even in the most difficult life situations. Man has no say-so in the fulfillment of our purpose. Man has no say-so in anything, even though we think we do, because God has the last call. And Proverbs 19:21 says, many are the plans in a person's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails. When you are operating in your purpose, God will send you confirmation. I don't tell people that I plan on being a preacher when I get older, because I just want to be a preacher. It's because I've had that confirmed in my spirit multiple times. And also, speaking of confirmations, I had, with the World Changers thing we're doing at the school with the devotions, there's this girl in my school who's been going to the devotions, and I had to give in some money for something, and I forgot to bring it, so I told Mom to bring it up to the school. So it was 7th period, and then I got called to the office to pick my money, and whenever I got back, I had this note on my desk, which was weird because we're kind of way past the generation of notes. But then I just grabbed it, and I started to open it, and then the bell rang, so I had to leave. So I read it when I got home, and the girl that I was talking about earlier that went to our World Changers thing, I talked to her every now and then, but we weren't best friends. But she sent me these two pages of notes front and back. She just told me everything about her home life, literally. And I don't know why I wasn't even really close to the girl, but she said she felt like she could trust me. And I'm assuming that's because, with our sharing our faith for World Changers, she sees that she can trust us, which, in my eyes, is confirmation that we're doing what we need to be doing in our school. Even though, we've had plenty adversary and we've kept on, and this is one of those rewards for keeping on.
Amen.
Many people think that if you're not going to be a preacher or a worship leader, then whatever field of work that you go into, God can't use you, which is completely inaccurate. I'm sure some of the adults, when y'all went to college, y'all planned on majoring in a specific thing, going in a specific field of work, and God told you, that's not where I want you. I assume that's happened to somebody. But whenever you're where God wants you to be. But the real question that I want to ask tonight is, can you keep your eyes fixed on your purpose in the midst of your enemies? You see, Psalms 23:5 says, you prepare a table before me. But God is the only person at that table. It says, you prepare a table before me, before my enemies. So, I'm looking at my purpose, but I got enemies all around me.
That's right.
In the midst of my purpose, I have my insecurity, I have my fear, I have my deficits, I have my addictions, in the presence of what I've lost, in the threat that I won't make it, in the presence of my enemies. In the midst of all this stuff, you have to be looking straight at your purpose. And don't let your eyes fall off and looking in what you're not supposed to be looking, whenever you're supposed to be just looking right at your purpose. I can easily recall plenty of times in my life whenever, I experienced doubt or any one of the things that I was talking about. But what if, just suppose, what if the doubt that I was feeling and the fear and all that other stuff was just an indication of how powerful the calling inside was? What I'm saying is, what if what's been holding you captive is only an indication that the calling inside of you is more than you could imagine, and if it ever got out, it could break the gates of hell.
Amen.
And Satan throws all this stuff at you to try to throw you off that purpose, but you have to keep your eyes fixed on God and on your purpose. But whenever you get off track of your purpose, you're not only hurting yourself, you're also hurting all of the people you were meant to impact for your purpose. Like Randy talked about this morning, Jonah went off track of his purpose and ran from God. And David was a man after God's own heart. We always hear about all the things that David did for the kingdom. And after he was a man of God's own heart, he was talented at more things than we could ever imagine. But in spite of all this, he tainted his purpose through his adulterous ways with Bathsheba. And as a result of that, he could have done multiple more things for the kingdom that we would never hear about if he would have just resisted that one sin. As a result of him not resisting that one sin, he lost his throne, and he lost his reputation, and he threw himself off of that purpose. Now, he still continued to live for God years later, but just think about how much more we could have heard about him if he would have stayed on his path, and he would have stayed in the throne, and he wouldn't have had the adultery, and then he wouldn't have had to kill her husband later. All of that, which is a whole other story about how sin takes you further than you want to go, keeps you longer than you want to stay.
Amen.
Because after he had that his adulterous way with Bathsheba, I'm sure y'all know the story about that anyway. He told her after he slept with Bathsheba, he found out that she got pregnant. So he was the leader of the army. So he got her husband to come down, and when he got there, he said, you've been fighting real hard and good, so maybe you should just stay home with your wife. He was making it look like after he got home with Bathsheba, that whenever everybody said, "Oh, she's pregnant," they wouldn't think it was his kid. They would think it was her husband's kid. But the guy said, that he needed to be fighting. So he went back out to the war, and David had him killed because he had to cover up the sin that he already committed. And as a result of all that, like I said, he lost his throne and he lost his reputation. People never looked at him the same. But never believe that God can't use you. Samson was arrogant. Jacob was a liar. Moses had speech problems. Peter had doubt. Jonah ran from God. Mark was worrisome. Zacchaeus was small and money hungry. Paul persecuted Christians before he changed his name to Saul. And the disciples fell asleep while praying for Jesus. So never think that the deficits that you have, God can't use. Everyone here is going to be used by God in some way. If you have been running from your purpose, these altars are open. Like Brother Randy just said, it's a hopeless battle. Also, if you're struggling with not knowing what your purpose is, these altars are also open. Start my music there, my stroke. But yeah, so if you're running from God, running from your purpose, like Brother Randy said, it's doing you no good. And also, if you're struggling with finding out what your purpose is, you can come down and receive prayer. As a child of the King, we are entitled to a seat at the table.
That's right.
And you might not know what that seat is. You might not know what your purpose is. But that seat's still there. And you might not understand it. Proverbs 3:5 says, trust in the Lord with all your understanding. And lean not with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. God's purpose for your life is much bigger than the problems that you're facing. It's much bigger than your insecurity or your fear or your doubt or your addictions. It's bigger than it all. So if anyone needs prayer,